Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Detonation. It's a Sunday once again, and once again, Sundays are a good day to talk about art. If you're wondering, we were going to have Michael Smythe on, which we were really hoping because Michael Smythe is Italian and, well, not Italian, but he's got big ties to Italy, and he knows a lot about the art market and the art world and the Pope, which is the breaking news down here in the corner. But we've got John on as well, so that we'll have the RT news running in the background there to explain that. And the first thing, we all know who John is. John's been on the show before. He's a smart art man. The first news cycle we wanted to go into is this art that's being transferred from the Pope in the Vatican in Italy to President Putin. So, hello, John, and thanks for coming back on the show. How are you?
Hello everyone. Yeah, pretty good. It's pretty nice and sunny Sunday. It's good to be back.
No, always a pleasure to have you back. And see, we've got Putin and the Pope doing their thing. So the significance of this meeting here is paramount. Why is this meeting so significant? Well, the meeting is significant because the West has put massive sanctions on Russia and now on Iran. So Russia is being squeezed from all directions. Okay, commodity prices are coming down. Oil prices have been sort of flatlining for Russia's exports because they've been hampered with their export policy, and so Russia is running out of cash. And so he's gone over here to the Vatican, who is giving him a gift of art. John, could you please explain to us? And we don't have Michael, so we don't have the grandiose sort of language expertise. But you know about this art and who did it and what it is. It's an etching. If you just like to explain to the audience who, what, where, when, why, etc. on this piece of art that we will see down here in a moment.
So the piece of art that given to Putin, it's an etching done by sorry if I butchered the name. It's Giuseppe Vassi, and it is done in 1774. And the title of the artwork is called Prospetto Principale del Tempio at Piazza de San Pietro in Vaticano. It is etching, and it is done. It is done in the 1774. It is the height. It's 705 millimeter. Width is 975 millimeter. So it is the artwork. It's a two-piece. So it is done by one at a time, and when it is also combined in the middle. So it is you can see a little bit of detail down by the middle. So in the foreground you have you have the Vatican, and then in the background you have the hills. So
Saint Peter's Basilica is there in that etching. You can see that it's 18th century, so it's fundamental because the 18th century is simultaneously a boring century in European history and the most fundamental. There was huge, enormous change in Europe. The inventions and technology and the scientists that came through at that period of time was absolutely incredible. So. Is this, in your opinion, do you think this is an invaluable piece? This is a historical piece that would have no monetary limit? Or do you think that this actually could have a monetary value?
So if you look at it, this is the depiction of the St. Pietro Vatican. It's like the history. So for me, it is like it has no like there's no. You can't put a price on it because it is done back in the 18th centuries. You won't get any of the art like that, and it is also significant because the Pope reside in Rome, and I think it is a good gift for the President Putin to give him that. So I hope he hang the art in appropriate area.
He's got many houses. He's a very rich man, and also they have the Kremlin there. They would find a safe place to put it. Yeah, absolutely. So
I
everyone
hope
can
so.
see it there. There it is. That's the artwork that's being transferred from the Vatican. The Pope is gifting that to President Putin. This is happening, in my opinion, and my opinion may not be correct on this, but this is happening because of Western sanctions, because the West is trying to, and this isn't Trump, and this isn't some elements of the Republican Party. This is Democrats, this is war hawks, this is warmongers, this is economic parasites such as on Wall Street, who are crushing Russia with sanctions and with economic ills in order to drain that country. And the Russians are Orthodox. They are Christian, and they're obviously Christianity is flourishing here. As you can see, because the Pope, obviously the head of world Christianity, although they might be Orthodox Catholic, it's a little different, but they're both Christian, and in good Christian brotherhood. There's a transfer going on here, so this is huge news out of the Vatican and out of Moscow. The wealth transfer going on. But yes, as you said, putting all that aside, this is a monumental piece nonetheless. This shows the strength of Russia. It shows the strength of the Russian-Italian relationship. We know that the Russian-Italian relationship going back through history has been strong. It's always been quite strong, and they've been quite strong on migrants, and they've been quite strong on the economy and strengthening economic ties, going back through all the prime ministers. Right to the birth of Russia out of the USSR. So this is actually quite fundamental. So this is really good. So have you got anything else to say about this art or this transfer? And because this is going on all the time, people don't understand and don't notice these sorts of transfers happening all the time. Have you got any comments to make, especially in the photography world? Is there more transfers like this? You mentioned a Saudi prince last time. He's aggregating it because. And we'll go into market news in a sec, but have you got any more comments on sort of transfers like this?
Oh, we have to keep a lookout on like this type of transaction, because like the art and stuff is like really old, and because it's like it has a value in it, and some may be used as a tool in the political gain and stuff, because like the art is like the priceless. So what it means is it can be like used in money laundering. So we have to keep an eye on that to make sure that it is not being used in the like, what can I say, in a bad way. So
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it's a strategic play, but there's also human historical value, human value attached to it. It's part of our human history. It's part of European history, and that goes for any art. We're talking about Europe right now, but that goes for any art across the whole range of histories, whether that be in Europe or in Asia or in the Middle East or elsewhere. That's very good. So let's slide into now. Now that we know that this wealth transfer slash historic moment is going on, let's go into some market news. And John, you're there with the market news. To give us the wrap up of what's been happening with some market news.
So with the market news, we see a lot of spending around the country. For example, Germany spent 2 billion and 1.8 billion euros on the art in 2018, which is around $20 per person on the culture, and the rest goes toward the contemporary art, for buying the contemporary art from living artists. So for Northern Ireland, it has 1.8 billion people, and it spent
Million people.
21 million. Sorry about that. So it spent 21 million on art, so which is around $11.67 per person. And for French, with French has to hold up to its name, because in France we got a lot of museums, and it attracts a lot of tourists and stuff. So French got 20 million per year just alone in the museums. So which is 3.2 billion and 2.9 billion euros. For the Swedes, you got Swedes is more like on the side of like rock and roll, like music and all the like DJing. They spend more on that, as well as they spend on traditional art. So they spend 2.6% of overall budget goes towards art. So, and then for Australia, for us, which is we as well spend a lot of money on music. So we spend $31 million on music, and half of that goes to War Memorial. And for that, on the average, we go around $300 per citizen. And for Finland, we got 523 million for the art they spent in 2017. And with population around 5.5 million, it's around $95 per person. And for England, it's 269 per person allocated to art. So which 8.79 million, and which is 7.13 million pounds sterling per year since 2018 to 2022.
Thank you very much for doing the work to break down those numbers for us. It's absolutely that's a great breakdown. So the amounts of money seem high, but the actual per person volume is not that high. I mean, you're talking about in Germany, would you say $20 per person? That doesn't sound ludicrous, does it?
No, $20 per person is not that ludicrous, because like on average, if you look at Australia, for example, if you spend for grocery, you probably like spend for $10 and stuff, and then plus you get to go the bills and all the electrical bills, that goes up to 100 probably $300. So $20 per person, it just for a culture, I think it's a good thing. It's for showing identity of who you are, where you come from, and displaying that to the people around the world. So I think it is $20 per person. It's a good amount.
And you said in the last show that you think you basically alluded to this notion that art is an investment overall. It's not. There's a money laundering side to art. We know that, where you're a drug runner and you have a bunch of illegal money and you need to get that money out, so you give it to an art museum, you transfer that into some sort of painting, and you sell that painting. Then you have a bunch of legal tender, legal fiat. Then you're rich, right? So there's that. But overall, there is another side to it, and it's actually just an investment where this grows over time, both in terms of a human context and in terms of a monetary context, depending on what the art is. So, is art an investment?
Well, art, it is investment for both. Like I said, the winners and the losers. On the winners, like we have those like, the two worlds, like the winner and the loser. The winners, where they use the money laundering and the money laundering, and for the losers, we have those people who actually invest time in art, time and money. So if you put a good amount of time and money in art, I think it will flourish, and I think we will like, it's good to invest in art as well.
Absolutely. So, did you want to talk any more about art market news, by any chance?
Well, like I said, for the global art, it's been steady since it increased 6%, reaching 67.7 billion, and it brought to second level in 10 years. Brought the art market to second level in 10 years, with a 9% increase from 2008 to 2018. So it's been done, and with high players like America, where they bank 450 mil in 2017, the one that I mentioned, the painting that sold like the Saudis, and in 2018, with the most expensive painting that sold in 2018 are from America, which strengthened their place in the first strengthened their first place in the art market, and then with UK following behind, and then China in third place. I think my prediction in 2019 is with UK and China having a political crisis such as Brexit, and Hong Kong having a protest, so they might have an impact on the art market in a good way or a bad way, so which good to look out for, and also because 2019, and we are in the collision of the new world art, which is the digital art, and then the old world art, which is all the painting and stuff, colliding with each other, where like in the art world and the art market, which is like it's so conservative, so there will be a lot of collisions, and it will be good to keep an eye out.
Fantastic. Your analysis is very good, John. I really thank you for your analysis. So if you're just joining us here on Detonation, what's going on over here in the corner here is Putin has met. We've already been through it. He's met with the Pope, and the Pope has given and gifted him a very valuable piece of 18th century art, which could be worth hundreds of millions to billions of dollars. If not, it's invaluable. We're not quite sure which is the strategy going on. We're talking about art around the world. We're talking about the art market and the money in art. It's a great discussion. So, John, you wanted to talk about some local news here in Australia. We're talking about a cultural icon. Something happened. Give the audience your rundown on this piece of Australian news.
So, just as I mentioned, the rise of digital art, a girl from Canberra, Sarah Millward, she won the creative contest created by Adobe and inspired by American singer-songwriter Billie Eilish. So, for the winner, the winner was handpicked none other than Billie Eilish. So, to be able to enter the contest, the contest is called Billie X Adobe. So to be able to enter that contest, you must use all the Adobe products, so such as Photoshop, Premiere, Lightroom, all the digital like art tools. So, and then the girl Sarah Millard beat out all the thousands of entries, and she won. Now she's heading to US to see Billie Eilish, and Sarah's artwork. It was inspired by like the dreams and like the feeling, like the ethereal feelings that you get. And then in her artwork, on the foreground, the girl is floating in the sea, accompanied by a couple of spiders. And in the background, we have a huge spider web, which reflecting on Billie Eilish music. If you don't know, like Billie Eilish is like, her music style is a bit edgy, provocative, and it deals with mental issues. So.
Yeah, I'm not sure who this Billie Eilish person is, but obviously, is she large? Is she got a lot of followers and a huge audience?
Yeah, she's getting a lot of views in her music, and she done international. She recently collaborated with Japanese artists, so she's been around, and she's really popular around our teenagers and.
There's a lot of something we haven't talked about yet, and talking about Japan and South Korea and digital art. Maybe Billy might know some of this. I'm not sure. Is holograms, right? The rise of holograms. I've seen some holograms, hologram stage performances. Have you seen those? And if you have, what do you think of those?
Yeah, those the holograms, and it's also the AR, like artificial reality. And I think I watched a video on there's a concert, a music concert, which purely the artist is digital. So she's like a all hologram stage, and it's like it's so people were so into it, and it's just like a new world. I'm gonna say. So it's the rise of like digital.
Rise of digital, yeah, it's coming even into performance arts on with integrated with live audiences, because I know that Fortnite had a concert, and that concert attracted millions of people. Was it millions? I think it was millions of people in a single concert. And for me, someone old and crusty like me, it's like it didn't look that exciting. It was just a few characters floating around a stage, but millions of people tuned into this to watch the cultural figure, the music guy with the he has the sad face or whatever.
Yeah.
He does the DJ. You know who I'm talking about? That
Oh, it's Marshmallow.
Marshmallow. So Marshmallow did I'm pretty sure it was Marshmallow who did a presentation in this Fortnite arena, and millions of people tuned in to watch it. And it's so not only are they integrating it on the real stage, but people are now preferring to sit at home and just watch digital entertainment. So this is a huge. I mean, this is just two massive steps towards digital technologies. Whether people like it or not, it's happening, but right before your eyes. So
Yeah, so it's not just Fortnite doing it. It's everyone in every game world is doing it. For example, a game called League of Legends recently produced a music video with and it's called like I'm not sure how I'm gonna put it in the link. It's called League of Legends, and the group is called KDA, which they did a live performance with AR and like holograms. So it's really entertaining to watch, and like the singers, the human singers interacting with the AR singers, and it's so intriguing to watch it.
So all of this physical art that we're watching down here, swing past that Putin's grabbing. Do you think is it becoming less relevant, or do you think it will just go into museums and no one will appreciate? Like, what's the appreciation of this sort of art? Do people appreciate it for anything other than its historical value anymore?
So these are the foundation, like these are the foundation of what we have now. So it's really good to look back and reflect on and to see the history of how far we have come. So with these art, like I said, it's the new world and the old world. It's gonna collide, and people are gonna say well, we have this sort of art, but what about this? We are in a new world, you know. It's like and it's also going to tie into with like the winners and the losers. So the winners are going to hanging on to that conservative world, like the old world, where the new world is flourishing, and it's being I guess neglected by the art, like the old, like sorry, the old art world. So
You went through earlier in the program the statistics that you know of the how much money each country was investing per person on art in their country, and we talked about the low per capita rate, but the quite large sums, what it seems like. Do you think that these sums are in a way enough? Do you think there's enough money going into these art projects when we're talking about if we're now hoarding for historical value and the actual aesthetic value and all the other value that goes with it is sort of fading out? Should are they spending enough? Is there enough money pouring into this sector, or do you think that that's enough and we need to focus on, we just continue focusing on contemporary art and this new age art as digital takes over?
Well, as you can see, it's just like other countries are doing other investing in other mediums. So, for example, it's like the Swedes are more into the music and the traditional art, and then they're only doing a fraction of that into the art world. So it depends on which country we're going to talk about. But let's say, for example, Australia, we put $31 million on music, which is, yeah, it's also an art form, a performance art as well. And also we put $500 million onto war memorial. So, and that's for an art average around $300 per citizen. So I think $300 per citizen, I think, yeah, I think it's pretty good for investing in art. And like I said, a new world emerging, so we need all the money like we can get to showcase the foundation of the art and how far we have come.
What about infrastructure that goes throughout these countries? So the upkeep of museums, the upkeep of things like Triple J in Australia, or art networks or art programs on these big television shows, or the facilities that go into these things. What do you think? Do you think that these are important, or do you think these are evolving with the times? Because when I listen to art experts, they never talk about digital art. They always talk about this painting or that painting, or they talk about.
Yeah, it's like I said in the early, it's because it's like art world, it's so conservative of like they hanging on to like the old foundations of the art. So I'm pretty sure that's why it's like nowadays, like the new digital art, it doesn't get recognition as the old art. So pretty sure that's why like they never talk about like the digital art and stuff.
Because there's a digital art is not very permanent, right? There's not much of a permanence there. It sort of dissipates after a while. It's a temporary experience. It's like taking drugs or something. It's a temporary experience. So, what do you think about that? Do you think that, like this digital art museum we mentioned last week in Tokyo, that's trying to sort of cement it, but digital art is very hard. You need electricity to function digital art. At least this stuff that Putin's getting, you don't need electricity. You don't have to switch it on. It just exists, right?
Yes. So it's like the one. It's from. Yeah. So the etching that Putin got is like it's from. It's what we produced. There is no third party involved. So for example, if I want to draw, I'll just get a charcoal or a pencil and start drawing. But with the digital art, you need like a electricity and all and electricity, and you need like computers and programs to be able to produce. So it has its own pros and cons about the digital, and it's also with the pros and cons about like the old world art as well. So
yeah, all right, we have about a minute left. Is there anything else you'd like to say on this topic of art?
Well, like I said, the prediction in 2019 is going to be it's going to be pretty good to have a look at, with having UK and China having crisis with the Brexit and the Hong Kong, like the protests. It might have a impact on the art market, and with America with 450 mil in their bank, plus the top 9 most expensive painting that ever sold are from America. So I think America's still gonna be in the first place, and with UK and China has a lot of fighting to do to keep it either in the second or third place.
John, thanks very much for coming back on the show. If you're wondering what's going down there, Putin went to the Vatican and he got gifted a remarkable piece. Go back to the start of the show and watch that for all of the information on that. It's fantastic, fascinating. We've got to run. We've run out of time. But thank you very much, John, and we'll have you on again if there's another big development, especially talking about these world leaders, big market moves, new technology, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, no worries. Then thank you for having me.
No problem. Thank you, John.
Have a good day.